الله سبحانه وتعالى محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and today we are going to discuss about the ikhlas or the sincerity. As we know that ikhlas is one of the important elements of the ibadah. If ibadah is bereft of the ikhlas or the sincerity, it stands nullified. Because there is no reward without ikhlas. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us for worship, as we know all. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ I did not create the jinns and the humans except to worship Him alone. So our main objective is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So we must be sincere in our worship. And as we know, shaitan, his main focus is to firstly to make us to forget our own purpose of creation, that is worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So firstly, he makes a lot of efforts so that a person is far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is far away from the deen. And secondly, when a person is close to the deen, close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then his efforts, he still doesn't lose the hope. He still makes his effort. He put all his effort so that the worship which a person is performing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it must be diluted. Once it is diluted, he knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala don't accept the diluted things. Allah accepts the only pure things. So shaitan makes his efforts to dilute the amal with the riyah. Firstly, he attacks the ikhlas. His main focus is he puts all his efforts to dilute the ikhlas of a person. Then a person may be performing the ibadah, but it is not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are certain other hidden motives behind that particular action or particular form of ibadah. When ibadah is bereft of being only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it hardly matters whether a person performs his ibadah or not. So shaitan tries his best to dilute our amal, dilute our actions with the riyah. As I said, firstly, he tries his best to make us neglectful towards the obligations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or any optional prayers. However, when he finds a person determined that he's a practicing person, then his second step is to focus upon the ikhlas of a person. A person without ikhlas is simply a man without the soul. Ikhlas is the soul of ibadah, is the ruh of ibadah. Now we discuss upon, firstly we discuss the linguistic meaning of ikhlas, then technical meaning of ikhlas, and then the virtues of ikhlas, the excellence of ikhlas, and lastly we also discuss about how can we achieve the ikhlas. What are the steps we follow to strengthen our ikhlas so that our amal are ikhlas oriented and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will accept them and we get the reward inshallah in dunya and also in the akhirah. As far as the word ikhlas is concerned, it has been derived from its root word khalasa yakhlusu khulusan wa ikhlasan. It is a root word of ikhlas, which means في اللغة العربية it means الصفا. Safa means purity. So ikhlas is from the root word khalasa yakhlusu khulusan means safa wa zala anhu shawbuhu. Safa means safa in Arabic, it means purity. And زال عنه شوبه إذا كان في الماء أو اللبن أو أي شيء فيه شوب. If there is anything mixed with the water or with the milk that changes its color or that impacts it anyway, so we cannot say that it's a pure form of the water. How can we say the water is pure if there are three things? Its color is intact, its taste is intact, and its fluidity is intact, or smell is intact. Color, taste, and smell. When these three things are intact, if any of these three things are altered, so we can say it's not the pure water. So Arabs, they use the word ikhlas in such a condition when water is purified and refined fully. The refined form of water, they say ma'un khalis, is a pure form of the water. When the milk, there is no any mixture of the water with it. The pure form of milk is known as labanun khalis. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, labanun khalisa, the pure form of the milk. And when anything is put into the water or anything is mixed with the water and a person refines it, when a person processes and then refines it and makes it pure again, so it is known as وَقُمْتَ وَصَفَّيْتُهُ أَخْرَجْتَ هَذِهِ الشَّوَائِبَ الَّتِي لَوَّسَتْهُ فَيُقَالُ إِنَّكَ أَخْلَصْتَهُ يعني صَفَّيْتُهُ وَنَقَّيْتُهُ. So Arab, when this and also the honey, when honey is in the beehive, there are many impurities in the pure form of the honey. They are mixed up with it. When these impurities are taken out, there's a specific word, they use the word nasah al-asla. You purified the word. Another word also, Arab should say akhlast al-asla. You have purified, you have refined the honey from all its impurities. Now it is pure in the pure form. That's what the ikhlas stands for. In the akhlastahu, when you say you have purified this, you have refined this from all its impurities, then Arabs use the word ikhlas. Now what type of relevance it has with the ikhlas, or technical definition of ikhlas? Technically, or for istilah, technically, how do we define the ikhlas? Ikhlas is أن الإخلاص يكون بتنقية الأعمال من الرياء. When a'mal are purified from every sort of show-off, ostentation. When you do any sort of amal, however minor it is or however major this amal is, small or big, this hardly matters. When you perform any deed and you perform this only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no any show-off involved, there is no any shirk, you don't do this for any other person. You don't do this for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is known as ikhlas. And Sahal at-Tustari rahimahullah is one of the pious person of the Ummah. He was asked, Ayyu shay'in ashaddu ala nafs? It is the most difficult thing upon the nafs of a person. The most difficult thing to achieve. And he answered, al-ikhlas. The most difficult thing to achieve is ikhlas. That you do, because the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created our nafs, our soul, we always just, once other people see us doing something good, so our nafs feels elated. Our nafs feels a kind of jubilance. And that prompts a person, that encourages a person to do more and more good deeds so that it can earn the praise of the people. Once, if people praise you, a person feels elated. A person feels an inward happiness. And the nafs wants this kind of happiness more and more. Ultimately, which leads a person to do anything which can please the nafs. So a person now performs the amal, not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just to earn the praises from the people. That's why Sahal at-Tustari rahimahullah said, al-ikhlas. The most difficult thing upon the nafs is ikhlas. Because ikhlas is something which has to be acquired. It's not something inbuilt. Our nafs has certain qualities. So when we do any amal, any action, it's not inbuilt that we do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We need to put our effort, we need to make our effort, we have to ensure that I am doing this only for the sake of Allah. As there are many other motivations. When we do good deeds, there are many motivations why a person is doing these good deeds. Mostly, a person wants to get high position in the society. He wants to be recognized as one of the good, one of the pious, one of the good-natured person. And the best and easiest way is to perform the ibadah. If a person wants to achieve assert his position in the society, in his friend circle, the best way and the easiest way is to perform the ibadah. Because people, by their very nature, they love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they love those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this becomes a means for a person to get the applause from the people, to get the accreditation from the people. Now this person is performing ibadah not for the sake of Allah, for the sake of his own position. That's what Tustari says, لَيْسَ لَهَا نَسِيب لِأَنَّهُ لَيْسَ لَهَا فِيهِ نَسِيب. Ikhlas is not something inbuilt in our nafs, that whenever we do any deed, we perform any deed, the ikhlas is there. No, we have to work for the ikhlas. We have to put our efforts to achieve the ikhlas, so that this amal is, your shaitan is there, nafs is there. Shaitan is always there, yuwaswisu fi sudurin nas. He's always trying to dilute our amal, our actions, our ibadah. His objective is to dilute it. His objective is to just waste it. And the easiest way, or easiest means with the shaitan is to just whisper into the hearts of a person, so that ikhlas is attacked. When ikhlas doesn't remain intact, and shaitan, he gets the success. When there is no ikhlas, after that, even if you do any damn action, you won't be rewarded for this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot be pleased with that action. Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah, he said, مَا عَالَجْتُ شَيْئًا أَشَدُّ عَلَيَّ مِنْ نِيَّتِي. مَا عَالَجْتُ شَيْئًا. I did not take care of anything with more efforts except my niyyah. But why? إِنَّهَا تَتَقَلَّبُ عَلَيَّ. Because it always keep on changing. This time, you achieve the ikhlas, you focus on the ikhlas, you do anything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just after a while, you cannot retain that state of the heart. And one of the definitions which is given by Al-Izz ibn Abdus Salam is Imam al-Maqasidin. He says, Al-Ikhlas an yaf'al al-mukallaf al-ta'ah khalisatan lillahi wahda. Ikhlas is that a person performs ibadah, a person obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exclusively for him. He performed ibadah exclusively for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La yuridu biha ta'azima min al-nas wa la tawqira. He should not wish any sort of respect, any sort of honor from the people by performing that ibadah. Wala jalba naf diniyun wala dafa dararin dunyawiyyin. Neither to get any deeni benefit, any benefit of deen, or any benefit of dunya. And he says, وَلِذَا فَإِنَّ الْإِخْلَاصِ فِي الْقَوْلِ وَالْعَمَلِ أَسَاسُ الْقُبُولِ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ. Ikhlas, sincerity in our speech and in our actions is a foundation or is a backbone with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts only such amal which are done only for himself. And Sahal bin Abdullah Tustari rahimahullah says, نظر الأقياس في تفسير الإخلاص. That the genius people of the Ummah, the brilliant people of the Ummah, they focused upon the tafsir, they focused upon the meaning of Ikhlas. فَلَمْ يَجِدُوا غَيْرَ هَذَا. And what they find, أَن تَكُونَ حَرَكَتُهُ وَسُكُونُهُ فِي سِرِّهِ وَعَلَانِيَتِهِ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى. That all our actions, or our doing, or our sukoon, our motion or our rest, implicitly or explicitly, because a person be only in two states, either of the two states. Either a person is in motion or is in rest. As the laws of the Newton, they also says this: a body can either be in a state of motion or in a state of rest. There is no any third state, which is between the motion and the rest. Either we are at rest or we are in motion. So Sahal Tustari says, what is ikhlas? That our rest and our motion, implicitly or explicitly, it should be all for the sake of Allah subhanahu. We are at rest for the sake of Allah. We are in motion for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or either implicitly or explicitly. And لا يماججه شيء لا نفس ولا هوى ولا دنيا. There's been no mixture of either the nafs, or no mixture of the nafs or the desires or anything of dunya. And Ibrahim bin Adham rahimahullah, he defines ikhlas as al-ikhlas sidqun niyat ma'allah, making our niyyah or intention to be truthful in the intention with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be truthful in intention with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is ikhlas. And it is also mentioned that al-ikhlas istiwa'u a'mal al-abd fi al-zahir wal-batin. When the actions of the servant are same, implicitly or explicitly. Usually, when we are with the people, we try to just to be sincere, to be humble, to be everything, because the behavior is impacted by the presence of other people. When there are many people, it moderates the behavior of a person. A person will not show something which may cause them to think ugly about him. So a person's behavior is moderated by others' presence. However, ikhlas is that whether people are around or not. The presence of people shouldn't make any sort of impact upon the behavior of a person. That is ikhlas. And when a person's amal and actions are of this nature, that implicit amal or explicit amal, hidden amal or the manifest amal, whatever he is doing secretly or apparently, he is doing all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what ulama say the ikhlas is. That's a definition of ikhlas. So ikhlas is all our amal, all our deeds, all our rest, all our motion, all our hidden or apparent, all our implicit or explicit, all our secret or manifest amal. They are all for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And ikhlas means that someone intends to devote his worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reach out to his heaven, reach out to his pleasure and rida. And if someone performs the worship for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so doing any amal for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are details of this other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Firstly, first case, that if with that worship a person wants a taqarrub of those or to get close to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he wants to seek the praise of the people, this makes deeds useless, thriftless, rewardless, and he commits a shirk. Imam Muslim rahimahullah has recorded in his Sahih on the authority of Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "Ana aghna ash-shuraka 'an ash-shirk. Man 'amila 'amalan ashraka fihi ma'i ghairi taraktuhu wa shirkahu." Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, so it means it's hadith qudsi. The hadith says that I do not need the people of shirk of what they do. Ana aghna ash-shuraka 'an ash-shirk. I am free of all partners. And whoever associates partner with me, whoever associates any partner with me, or whoever associates me with something else, I will leave him with what he stands for. I will leave him and his partner. I will leave him up to his partner, up to the partner he associates with me. Means there is no reward with me. I will not reward anything if a person is doing any amal, is performing any deed for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And performing the deed for other than Allah is a form of shirk. As we know that opposite to ikhlas is riya. Opposite to ikhlas, it is riya. And riya is show off, ostentation. And riya, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I'm afraid of my ummah to commit a shirk al-khafi. They commit a minor shirk. When he was asked what the minor shirk is, then Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, riya. Riya is a minor shirk. Why riya has been called as minor shirk is that shirk is simply when a person associates partner to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either in his being or in his attributes. That is shirk. How do we define the shirk? Associating partner to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either in his being or in his attributes. So this is known as shirk. And Riya, why it has been called as shirk al-khafi or the minor shirk? Because in Riya, like actually the all form of ibadah has to be performed only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person performs the ibadah, not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in ibadah, he is associating partner with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why it is known as ashirk al-khafi. Why ashirk al-khafi? Because this person, he still believes in the oneness of Allah. He still believes in his being and in his attributes, that there is no partner in his being or in attributes. But his amal suggests us as if there is a partner in his being or in his attributes. So as far as the aqidah is concerned, at theoretical level, he has this belief. But at the practical level, his amal suggests that he is doing this for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what is shirk al-khafi. Otherwise, if he has the belief that there's Allah is partner in his being or in his attributes, then he is mushrik. That's shirk al-jali. That's a shirk which takes a person out of the fold of Islam. And there's no portion for him in Islam. The ikhlas, so this is the first case of ikhlas, that a person is performing the deed for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants the closeness of the people. He wants to attain the applause of the people. He wants to achieve the praises of the people. So he's doing the amal, and what is the motivation? It's not to get the reward from Allah, to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the motivation? Praise from the people. So people praise him, and he wants his own position asserted among the people. And this type of amal, however great this amal is, the person is going to perform the Hajj. So he spends a lot of wealth, a lot of money, and then a good deal of time. Also faces a lot of hardships. But what's the net objective? When he return back, it will say he's Haji. He's Haji. He performed the Hajj. He visited the Kaaba, so that he gets this title in the society. So his objective is not to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His objective is to get the title. A person is spending the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's spending the zakah. He's paying the zakah. But when he pays the zakah, he makes show off. He lets others know that I help the people, I help the needy, I help the destitute, I help those in need. So he makes it public. Sometimes making zakah public is also good when you are supposed to encourage others to pay the zakah. But at that time, a person's intention, he must take care of his intention. He has to preserve and protect his intention. Sometimes it is good to make your zakah or make your charity public, so that others are encouraged to do it. But the sole intention is to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is no such intention, then even if a person spends huge amount of the wealth in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not rewardable. There will be no reward for this. We have a scattered dust and floating dust in the space. No reward with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And second case is, if the purpose of worship is to get benefits of dunya, such as wanting to be a person wish to be respected among the people, or he want to get more assets, and he knows the best way is to just posing to be pious and a righteous person. So his objective by worshipping is not to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather to get the worldly benefits. And this type of riya or this type of amal is totally in vain. And this will not get a person close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather this is a source of getting farther away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, "Man kana yuridu al-hayata ad-dunya wa zinataha, nuwaffihi ilayhi a'malahum fiha, wa hum fiha la yukhasun, ulaika alladhina laysa lahum fil akhirati illa an-nar, wa habita ma sana'u fiha, wa batilu ma kanu ya'malun." Whoever wants the life of the world and its jewelry, surely we give them a reward for their work in the world perfectly, and they will not be harmed in that world. These are those who have not attained it in the hereafter, except hell. And in the hereafter they have tried, and in the hereafter they have tried in the world and what they have done in vain. So what they tried in the world, what they performed in the world is all in vain, because their main objective was to get their own interests fulfilled. And the difference between the first and the second, the first one wants to be praised by others, that he is an expert in worship, while the second, he does not mean to be praised as worshipper, rather his objective is to get the position in the society. There is also a third case. If the purpose of worship is to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as well as to get the different things of dunya. So two objectives are there now. One objective is just to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, get the closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and second is his own worldly ambitions. He wants to fulfill his worldly ambitions also by performing that particular form of ibadah. For example, someone who is doing wudu or who is doing ablution in order to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the same time, his intention is that I want to achieve the hygiene. So by doing the ablution, I also achieve the hygiene. Or a person, he prays. He knows that it's a form of ibadah. I perform the ibadah, I perform the prayer. His ibadah is obligation upon us. But at the same breath, his intention that, okay, when I perform this ibadah, I have to make up and down. This way, I can also just, I will also practice exercise. So this is how we can define a person is knowing that he is doing this for the sake of Allah. At the same time, he has certain worldly ambitions or worldly goals to achieve. So here we must know that these amal will be rewarded according to the extent when a person's intention is to get the reward from Allah and please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. To that extent, a person will be rewarded. As long as the moment other intentions are involved in it, this reduces the sincerity. This reduces the reward to be achieved. So if a person is having two things together, okay, on one side he wants to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please Allah and fulfill the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but at the same breath, he is having other intentions as well. So according to that intention, the level of sincerity will be affected. So he will not get the reward as that of a person who is wholly and solely doing the ibadah for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Though there are many verses in the Quran which says us that, for example, if a person goes to perform the Hajj, but besides performing the Hajj, he also wants to do some business there. Ulama say, okay, he can do this, but the second case, the person who is going there just only to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third case is a person is going there, he wants the means to get over there, and he just want to do business there. These are three cases. Who will get the more reward? The one who goes there only to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one, he will also get the reward, but the degree of sincerity is affected according to the engagement and involvement in the worldly affairs. As far as the third one is concerned, his sole objective is just to go there. He will, as Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that before the last hour to come, there will be three types of people who will go to the Makkah, who will go to the for the pilgrimage. They'll perform the Hajj, and there will be three types of people. One, sincerely wishing to get the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second, they will go there to find out the business opportunities. And the third one is going there, just he doesn't go to Switzerland, he goes there. It will be just a tourist trip for them. And we find that many are people like this. So those whose intentions are diluted. So as per the dilution of the intention, sincerity is affected. So once intention is protected, sincerity is protected, the reward will be immense. And there's no, we can say there is no scale which can count the reward of the sincerity when a person is mukhlis. So these are different cases when a person is performing the ibadah according to his intention. As far as ikhlas is concerned, there are many fruits of ikhlas, samaratul ikhlas. there are many fruits of the ikhlas. The one who is blessed with the ikhlas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses not only his dunya, also his akhirah. Not only his health, also his wealth. The ikhlas is a thing, as I said before, is a ruh, the secret of devotion. Without the ikhlas is simply man without a soul. Man without a soul, which is of no use here. So ikhlas or sincerity in the actions brings many fruits, and not only in dunya but also in the akhirah. And not only in akhirah but also in the dunya. So ikhlas is important. And what is the fruit of the ikhlas? By the barakah of the ikhlas, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the hardships in dunya. Now we talk about the first thamarat, or the fruits of ikhlas in dunya. The first fruit is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the difficulties and hardships from a person. Removal of hardships and difficulties. This is the first fruit of ikhlas. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala removes the hardships of a person.
Subhanallah bihamdihi, subhanakallahu bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun alal mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.